Right, so we're on our blue Rover 45 2000, and you may remember we did a lot of work on this car. One of the things we did was the clutch about 2 years ago. However, it's probably only had about a year and a half of mileage and driving, and the other day we completely lost drive. So when you put it into gear and take your foot off the clutch, nothing happens. Basically, it's like it isn't in gear. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Good dog. Good dog. Yes, as I was saying, so like it isn't in gear at all, and actually, we had to be recovered, which is the first time we've had to do that in about probably 23 years ago. So yeah, a long wait, but we got it back home, and we're going to try and sort out what it is. Obviously, it's a bit frustrating in some ways because we've probably, as I said, only had about a year and a half of driving out of the clutch, so we certainly want to find out what's gone wrong. Now, we have done a video all on the changing of this clutch, so I'm not going to do that video again. If you'd like to see how to do the clutch right the way through the process, and it's well worth watching that video. But all I'm going to do in this video is just cover when we find out what's caused it, because I thought that might be interesting to show, and we see if it is the clutch that has failed, or maybe there's something else that's gone wrong, or perhaps it's something really interesting that even we don't expect. So we're starting to strip it down. As I said, any bits that are interested, I'll show you through the process. So yeah, as you can see, I just got to do that. You can see that when we changed it, we completely repainted it. So that's also going to be hopefully make things easier stripping it down, because everything's clean, all the bolts have been undone, and everything was sort of checked. So hopefully the job won't be as bad and shouldn't take as long as well, because we won't be cleaning and painting, and hopefully won't mark the paint too much. If we do, we will sort of touch it in. But as I say, yeah, we're just gonna get on with that, have a look at it, and we'll film any interesting bits and show you the process. It's quite amazing. This engine feels warm just from the heat of the day. You don't often feel that, but yeah, looks like it's going to be a job of doing of an evenings here in the summer weather. Nice and calm now. Right, so we've now removed the battery tray and the air filter so we can get a better look, and the first thing you've noticed is that the arm is further forward than it should be. So if you look at those two ribs, and the arm's well past that rib towards the little reverse sensor wire there. And if we come over to our other 45 that's working as it should do, and hopefully we can come in and give you a view down here. Yeah, if you have a look down here, you can see that the clutch arm there is not even hanging over that rib. It's right back there, so it's almost pushing too far forward, almost like it's disengaged, so it's not coming back to its engaged position, which is where it's almost sitting resting. Even though this car isn't working, the clutch is in the engaged position, so it's right back the lever from that rib. Whereas if we come back over here and look, hopefully, although we're at slightly different angles, you can see it's well hanging over that rib towards the reverse sensor there. So that's the first thing we've noticed that's different. So as I say, we're not doing the whole clutch changing job, but I want to show you sort of as we find anything drifting, and hopefully we can show you what the problem's been, and it might be of interest to you. Right, so what we've done, we've removed the hydraulic slave cylinder from the clutch arm, and what's interesting is the clutch arm has actually gone back to its normal position, and there's even the little bit of movable play in that arm. If you could show that, yeah, there, which almost suggests to us that the clutch was being left in the sort of half unengaged position by the actual slave cylinder or the main cylinder. We don't know quite what's failed, so we're just having a little look at that. Yeah, so what we're doing is now having a little look at the slave cylinder. What we have done, we've took this rod out because this rod is actually completely seized, so it won't push back into place, which we think it should do, because obviously when we changed the clutch we must have pushed it right back into place to bolt it back up with the 2 bolts that go there and there from this bracket there, which we painted. That's the bracket that holds the slave cylinder in. So we think if it has gone wrong, we just want to find out what is wrong with it. So we're now going to do a little bit more investigation on it. Pin out. Yeah, what we're going to do is pull this little split pin out here and sort of do some investigations, because we think that this rod certainly shouldn't be seized in. Right, so what we've done, as you see we were doing, is trying to remove the slave cylinder from the actual pipe that goes to the master cylinder, and it was a split pin through there, and it more or less connected into here. We'll show you the end of that pipe in a minute. And then what we're going to try and do is push that rod back in, see if we can get it down. Right, so as you see there, and we're doing it now, we're able to push it up and down, so that it appears that the sort of the piston action is not seized at all. That is going up and down and springing back as it should, with very little resistance, although some of the fluid's been lost, so you couldn't just straight away connect it up, because you technically be putting an airlock in the system. We've kind of confirmed that this slave cylinder, as far as we can tell, isn't seized, which makes us think it could possibly be the master cylinder that's seized. So yeah, hopefully you'll find this interesting. We're sort of filming it as we're finding it at the moment, and showing you along the journey. So now we've got a bit better light. Hopefully you can now see that's the pipe that we removed from the slave cylinder. You can see how the split pin went through that little ledge and kept it locked in, but it allows it to swivel around, so you can manoeuvre it into position, and it sits in the right position. So that's shown you that. Now the light's a little bit better. Right, so what we've done is we've pulled this piping out so we can get a better look, and we were obviously aware of this joiner here, and we know there is a tool that can split that, and we have got a version of that tool if we need to, but we're now going to sort of look a bit more into it and have some time to think, and then come back to it. But yeah, hopefully it's been interesting for you, and it's certainly sort of interesting for us as we diagnose it. Yeah, we're also going to look in to see if there is some sort of a one-way valve, because we think that theoretically the fluid should sort of pour out of here, or come out of here, or drip out of here, and it isn't. So we're going to also look in to see if there is a one-way valve, and theoretically there should be, because if you can separate that to remove it and then reconnect it, and technically I'm sure we did even read you wouldn't even need to bleed it to do that. There must be some sort of valve. So we do know it is supposed to be a sealed system, this as well, which we want to look into and make sure that is definitely the case before we commit to buying it as well. Right, so it's the next day, and we've had time to do a little bit of research and time to think, and what we've done is found that Discount Rover repairs or spares actually sell a replacement master cylinder, and as we think that's the problem, that's what we've ordered. So we're waiting for that to come now. But that looks like it's a good little kit, and sort of a modification or an improvement on what's actually there. So what we are going to do is look how that comes to bits and start doing it. So we're doing that from the inside of the car. So if we go inside, yeah, so as we come inside now, what we're going to do to give us as much possible room is take out this piece here which we've already started doing, and we've removed the screws that hold that up. And obviously we'll probably get out this carpet matting that sits there as well, so we've got as much space as we can. So that's what we're in the process of doing at the moment. Right, so we've got the plastic out that's just under the steering wheel, and it's a lot easier to see once it's out. It's a screw there, this one here that's more hidden, and that one there, and then it drops down and out. And what we've also done is remove the matting that sits underneath. That's this piece of matting there, and that more or less just pulls out. There's nothing that actually holds that in as such, and it should just slide back in as well. And it's almost the same as on the other side that you come across when you're changing the cabin filter. This is like the driver's side version of that matting, and hopefully that's going to give us a lot better view up in there, which it certainly does. What I've done is got myself in at a better angle after showing you what we've been doing, and hopefully you can now see the clutch pedal down here, and if we follow that up in there, hopefully you can just about see that, and you can see the master cylinder coming through. And what we'll need to do is remove that pin that is holding the master cylinder to the pedal, the like fork that goes each side of the pedal, and also we can access the bolts from this side as well. So we'll get that done, and then we might be able to even show you a better view of that once we've got it out. And if we're doing anything under there, I can get a view in there. I'll try and do that as well, and I'll just pull out there so you can roughly see the relationship of where we work, and that always helps just a little bit. Right, so we've got those two bolts removed, and we've also got the pin out that was holding them forks to the pedal. And what we're doing now is slowly manoeuvring it out from through there, and hopefully you can see the hole in the firewall where it's coming out, and you can see the bolt there, and also the bolt down there. So we now got to get it completely out, and then we'll show it to you a little bit better. Right, so it was a bit awkward for me to get the camera in here and show you what was happening, but hopefully you can see now we've got that bolt out there, and also the bolt that's up at an angle, and we've also got the pin out of the fork, so it's disconnected from the pedal. And if we now go round to the engine side, I'll show you as it's now hanging out, as we've now pulled it through with those bolts that are attached to it. Right, so now you can see us from the engine side. You can hopefully see we've been slowly pulling it through, and you can see the two bolts there, top and bottom at an angle, and of course the pipe is still attached, and that sort of goes through the wiring to the ECU, so we're going to have to gently thread all that out, and then hopefully we can have a better look at it up on the bench. Right, so that's it all out from down there, and hopefully you can see that the pipe sort of threaded through between the wires of the ECU and the hose that goes to the inside heater matrix. So it's just a case of threading that through, and we pulled it out, and you can now see the hole in the sort of firewall to the engine there. And if we just come round at this angle, you can almost see where the bolt goes into the sort of bottom, and then up at the top, which is just out the way there. So now go and have a look at it up on the bench. Right, so hopefully this gives you a better look at it now. We've got it out on the bench, and you can see here's the bit that goes over the pedal, and the pin goes through there, and that holds it to the pedal. And then you've got the two bolts here, and we undid the nuts each side, and it's kind of sitting up at an angle like that, which is why you could see the bottom bolt a lot clearer than the top one. And then of course this is the side you see on the engine side, and then you've got the pipe that runs through those wires and the eater hose all the way around and down to the slave cylinder on the gearbox. And this is the joiner part, and from what we understand from the kit we've bought, we get this part up to this joiner as the modified part. So we've first got to get this joiner apart, and we're sort out reassembling the slave cylinder as well, and then hopefully we'll be able to put it all together and work with it once we've got the kit and the instructions that comes with it. But I thought, yeah, it's nice to see this fully out on the bench there. Yeah, I've just gone and got the slave cylinder, and that's where the pipe then goes on to that, and you see us removing that last night, and then the little arm comes out of there, which we've got in the boot here, the arm there that then pushes on the clutch arm to engage and disengage the clutch. And as always, we're putting all our bits in magnetic trays or little boxes, and keeping it all nice and safe. Right, so while we're looking at it, I just thought I'd show you. I went and got the pin there, and that's what goes through the forks and through the pedal, and then you've got the little clip there that you pull out to get the pin out, and we've just pushed it back through there. You can see it there, so we don't lose that, and we'll put that in our magnetic tray. Right, so now we've got it all out. At the last bit, I just thought I'd show you there where the hole is and where that fork just goes over the pedal. It really is a job to show, but hopefully you can just about see that, and we'll be able to show you when the new one's back in. So we've now got it laid out actually how it is in the car. I thought this would be a good chance, even in the bracket there that it sits in, and how the pipe goes into the slave cylinder there. We've still got it out at the moment, but we will put that back. Again, you've got the joiner there, which we're going to separate, and then the main master cylinder there, which is what we think's gone wrong. The pedal's nice and free moving, and as we did last night, we made sure this was nice and free moving as well. Now it's all disconnected, so that sort of hopefully confirms for us that it is the master cylinder. But of course we won't fully know till it's all back together. There's no reason why it shouldn't be that. We just thought we'd do it nicely laid out on the bench. You can see it as a whole removed piece. So while we've got it here, because you wouldn't normally see it like this, as I said, this is the bracket that bolts to the engine, and the slave cylinder is held on to this bracket, or locked into this bracket, by this little plastic collar here. And the way you get that out is you just twist down the bottom there, and then you can push this forwards, and it comes right out. So yeah, actually it removes quite nicely, and not too complicated. That's loose at the moment because we've not got the rubber sealing. It's not compressed between the clutch forks and the bracket, so we've just got to be careful there. Right, so hopefully you see there we've removed the pin from this end. Interestingly enough, this end was a split pin holding it in, so we don't know whether that's been removed. What we do is have a look on our other car and see what is both ends, but this end had that little pin, and we've just got that out with a punch, and we're just taking it to bits just to have a little bit of a look more, and so we can learn a little bit more, because we're changing this now, so we don't have to row. And the other thing with this kit is that, as we understand, you will be able to bleed the air out, whereas with this system it almost comes bled as far as we can tell, and you just fit it, and it's supposed to work, which is quite strange, or seems strange to us. So we're just having a look at it while we're got the chance really, and hopefully it's interesting for you as well. So that's it out, and that is a similar connection to the other end there as well, and you can see there where it goes into the bottom of the master cylinder there. Right, so we've now got this separated. I'll just show you how we did it. We used this tool. Now, I think there is actually a proper tool for doing this, but this tool almost looks very similar to it. And there's this little plastic collar. So what we did was push that collar down, and we did that from both sides. And once we've got that collar down, we then pulled it up and away, and it released quite nicely. So hopefully you can see there that collar moves up and down.
The O-ring seal.
Yeah, there, and you can see then in there as well. So yeah, actually it come apart easier than we thought it would once we've got the hang of using that tool and getting that collar down. Right, so for us it's been a little time, and I think the last thing we were doing was sort of looking at the original master and slave cylinder clutch on the bench, and we'd also said we were going to do some research, and I'd heard about this clutch. I can't remember if I said about that. This clutch from Discount Rover Spares, and what we did, we ordered it, and I spoke to them as well, and they said yeah, it was likely to be the master cylinder which we thought, and actually the slave cylinder is normally reliable, and we, as far as we could see from our testing, it was okay. We've now got that kit, so yeah, they were quite helpful on the phone. They yeah, reckon this was the right kit before I ordered it, and this is the kit that you get. So you get the new master cylinder, you get the piece of copper pipe which replaces that rubber pipe, you get the end of the valve, because basically this is like one half. This is the master cylinder half, and then at the point where you see us take the pipe apart, that part that goes onto the slave cylinder is still the same, and this is the connector to join it, and you get a nice set of instructions with it as well. And it actually comes all bagged up in the bits you need. We've got it out of the bags because it reflects. So I thought this was a better view to see it, and you get the little resif wire as well, and the rubber pipe to go to it, because on this kit it sits up a little way from the main master cylinder, and we'll show you that. So yeah, here's the original master cylinder, which we believe has failed. Of course, we've got the slave cylinder there. We've got both ends of the pipe, and one end of the pipe now we won't need, and that's going to be replaced, the end we don't need, with this coming up to the master cylinder there. And you've also got the end that goes over the clutch pedal. We think we'll have to change that, because this one certainly doesn't look right as well, which is quite nice. So hopefully we'll get it fitted and it'll work and sort our problem out, and you'll be able to see exactly as it fits through the process and get a better idea. But I just thought I'd show you the kit we've bought, and as I said, hopefully it sorts out our problem. The only thing is, this kit assumes that there's still fluid in this slave cylinder. We took it to bits to check, so we may have trouble getting the air out of that, but we've got a solution round that, and there is a process for bleeding the air out of this when you put the clutch fluid or brake fluid in there, and we'll show you that process as well. So yeah, there's the kit all laid out. That's the kit we got, and interesting enough, they seem to do different kits for different variants of gearboxes, and even a kit for the 75 as well. So yeah, it's going to be well useful for knowing in the future, because it's a slightly different kit for our 1.8, and it'll be a different kit for the 75. So yeah, it's well worth knowing. And as I said, yeah, I think it'll be some difficult bits in fitting this, but it should go well and should make for a better replacement than the original, because we certainly didn't like the idea of the original where you couldn't bleed any of the air out at all. It was like this sealed unit, so we're hoping this for us will work better long term as well. And as you remember, as we left it last time, we've got all the old clutch system removed from our blue one, and what we've also got, and I'm pretty sure not everyone has this opportunity, but we always try to do it if we can, we've got our green one here, so we can always look at how bits were done and the way pipes lay. We find that really useful. Though this kit obviously isn't the original, it's still a useful thing to be able to look in there and see. So we've got that bonnet open as well, so we could just have a quick look if we need to, or just want to see how the original piping run on that clutch. So yeah, the good thing is everything's looking clean down there, no rust where the master cylinder fits, which is good as well. It's looking very, very clean down there. I just thought I'd show you a good view of that, where we've got a bit more better daylight coming in than we did when we last looked at it. What we're doing now is that the master cylinder, the little top up pot or reservoir has to be fitted up separately from the master cylinder, and they suggest fitting it on the bolt there that holds the ECU. So we're just looking at how that's going to work, and we're putting together the little reservoir now with the bracket there and the rubber hose that's provided. It comes with the little clips to hold the rubber hose on, which are these clips here. So one at the bottom, and well, one goes on the master cylinder and one that goes on the pot there. Right, so what we've done there is took that nut off the ECU and then just threaded the bracket that holds the reservoir over the nut, and then we're just putting it back, and then hopefully, yes, it's there quite neatly. Right, so we've got a rubber gasket that was on the original one. The new one hasn't got that, so we're going to see if that fits. If it doesn't, we're not too worried, but if it does fit, it'd be quite nice to use that. And we're initially going to try fitting this other one because we think that looks a bit more similar to the original one, and see how that works. And it does look like this rubber gasket's got a good chance of fitting, so if it doesn't obstruct anything, or we don't think it's causing any problems when we fit it, then we'll leave that on. So where we're changing it from this one to this design, the way this pin comes out so you can get it on the pedal is, you can see there, it slides in there and then clips over there, so you can unclip it, pull it out, put the forks through the pedal when it's actually on the master cylinder, and then you can put it back on and clip it down. So I just thought I'd show you that because it'd probably be difficult to show you that when we're under the dash. We're just going to make sure it finishes in the right sort of place so you can fit that back on, but it doesn't kind of matter too much, but we're just sort of looking at it and how it's going to sit for when we fit it on, because technically this could go in from either side, so we'll probably leave that off till we get the pedal on.
But once we've got it in position, that has got to be locked up.
Yeah. Right, so
and there's fine adjustment there if you need it.
Right, so we've wound this on, and that's the lock nut there, and we've done it about midway, and there is some fine adjustment that you can do if you are having problems with the way the clutch bites, but hopefully having it midway will work. And on the original one there was no real way of adjusting it.
Adjust it in or out, and then just bring the lock nut up to it,
to wherever you want. Yeah, so on the original one there wasn't any adjustment, so we're assuming that was kind of a midway point, or they got it right so it adjusted dead right. Perhaps this one there is some sort of leniency in it when you fit it, so that's why we're going to do it midway, and hopefully that should be about right. So the other good thing is we've saying there that although we're turning this, you can actually turn the rod and wind it in, because that is just probably a sort of a ball joint in there, so it will be a lot easier when you're under the dash if you do need to do some adjustments to be able to turn that and then lock that in. But as I say, we're leaving it in the midway and hoping that will be fine. Right, so we're now ready to fit the master cylinder in place. We're just checking the original nuts fit, because they're not in the kit, and they do, so we want to check that before we started to put it in. It goes in from this side, and then it'll be a case of getting that over the pedal and the pin through. Right, so that's it roughly sitting in the position there, and now we're going to have to go inside and get that pin and get it attached to the pedal. Right, so before we go inside, we just noticed that the way the pipe goes in goes up at an angle, so we think we're going to need to get that in first before we get anything attached inside, so that we've got some movement there and work out the run of the pipe. So that's a good thing, constantly sort of looking at it and working out what you may need to do. So this pipe, unlike the rubber one, is solid, so it will need bending into place just like you would if you were replacing fixing a brake pipe. So what we do is get on with working out a route that's going to work for us, and then we'll come back. So we're continuing to route the pipe. We're roughly going to sort of bend it here and go behind this ECU box, come out, and hopefully you can see we've laid the original part of the pipe that's still going to be in use to see roughly where it's got a join in. We think roughly it's likely to fit, but this pipe has got a different end, this end to this end, and this end's got the flared end, and that's the end that fits into your master cylinder. So you've got to make sure you've got it the right way round, otherwise it's not gonna fit. It does cover that in the instructions, but I thought it was just worth covering that, so we're just checking at this point before we go any further, so I thought it was worth mentioning that to you. So yeah, we're just sort of moving it about and finding a way where it's going to run the easiest route and least likely to rub, and if it is going to rub, or whether we can put some sort of little rubber protector on it, but hopefully there'll be no real risk of it rubbing anywhere. Right, so we kind of pulled that forward. That was a help, so luckily we didn't tighten that in, and that's let us get the copper pipe in. As you can see, it's roughly going behind the ECU, comes down here, and if I move about the pipe it's got a join to, get in there. You can see there roughly it should line up with that pipe as well, and that one comes all the way down to where the slave cylinder will sit. So it's roughly in place. There might be a little bit of bending to do, but roughly there in place. So we can now start to connect it into the pedal box, but we'll probably still leave it loose. There's some flexibility there before we fully tighten it up. So as you can see, a very sort of difficult job to get in there and do it. So hopefully what I'll do is just show you where we've got the two bolts or nuts on and the pedal bit through. Right, so what we're doing is just tightening up the two nuts inside, and as I say, it's a job for me to get in there, so what I'll do is show you those, or how it's gone, in a minute. Right, so that's done up to a nice tight stage. It's a job to show here, but there's no real gap on the bulkhead, and it's feeling nice and sturdy in there. So what I'll do now is go inside and just show you how it's looking under the pedal box now we've done it. Hopefully that gives you a good enough look. Right, so it really is a job to show you up under there, but hopefully you can see the nut at the top at an angle, and then as I move down you can see the nut at the bottom we've done up, and then you can see how that sort of horseshoe clip goes over the pedal, and then we've put the pin through and clipped it over, and hopefully that was what we showed you earlier, so you can sort of envisage what we showed you earlier and how it's sitting onto the pedal and bolting through. A very sort of fiddly and awkward job, and that's going to be the case you know, if you put in the original one back or this kit. We know when you have to change a clutch cable and a colour of a clutch cable, it's just as awkward, if not even awkwarder in some cases. But yeah, it's all on for now. So hopefully we won't have to do any more up under there, only putting stuff back, but we'll keep it exposed till we know everything's definitely working. Right, so now we've got everything fixed onto the bulkhead of the car and onto the pedal. We're now just going to do that union nut up tight on the copper pipe. Of course, as we said, we got it in roughly right, because you'd have never have done it why that master cylinder is fixed in tight. So we got it in there while it was loose, then we've got it positioned in place and all bolted up, and now we can now tighten up that union nut and get it fully in. We just think that made it a little bit easier to do. Right, so we're now going to fit the rubber hose that was supplied from the little reservoir down onto the master cylinder. We've already cut the bit of access pipe off, which is nice, you get plenty of rubber pipe, and then it's a case of fitting it over the top and doing up that little clip that we did on the top end. Right, so it's still a little bit long, so we're just going to trim it a little bit more. The reason it's too long is if it's too long, as you can see while we're doing it, it just kinks at that bottom there. So what we'll have to do is cut it and try it, and then when that kink's not there, then it'll be long enough. Right, so we've now got the little rubber hose that runs from the reservoir down to the master cylinder with enough access, but not too much so that it kinks. And now what we're doing is just doing up that little clip there, so it's nice and tight, but not too tight, just right, so it's going to make that seal. Right, so theoretically the copper pipe is replacing this bit of pipe that runs from the original master cylinder to the joining part. So this joining part has to be replaced, and in the kit comes this piece here. Now that fits onto the end of the copper pipe. You can see there it's got the end to go on the copper pipe, and this end is what replaces that end on the original pipe to go into that second part of pipe that will go all the way down to the master cylinder. So we're now going to attach that down there. Hopefully you can roughly just see us getting it onto the copper pipe there. Yeah, that's a much better view there. Right, so that's it done up and tightened and on the copper pipe. So essentially we've now got back in place the half that's the new half of the kit. Of course we've got to put the fluid in and bleed out any air, which we'll show you, and also we've got to prepare the original slave cylinder back to a state where it's going to work as well. So that's going to be the next stages. Right, so we're now going to put in the slave cylinder. We've decided to do that and get that in place before we start putting the fluid in that and getting any air out, and the same with this slave cylinder. We've got to see how it works, because we wanted to take it to bits, as you see earlier, and check it was all working and clean it up and lubricate it. However, the instructions for this tool, because though this bit hasn't been tapped, so we're just going to have to see how that goes. So we want to put this pipe back in as well, so we're just looking at how that goes. So that's what we're going to do next. Right, so we've now put this pipe back in. There's a little rubber washer there, and then there's the pin that goes through there to hold it. Now again, if you were doing this, you probably would be leaving this alone, but as we have took it to bits and cleaned it and checked it appears to be functioning, I thought I'd cover it as it goes back together. And of course you'll see this is back in, and we've put a little bit of lubrication in that little bit that sits on the end of the piston and the rubber boot back as well.
Yeah.
Right, so as you can see we've got it supported there, and there's just that little pin, and pushing that back in, and once that's in, that is what stops that pipe from being forced back out when it's under pressure. Right, so we've now put the metal bracket back, and that's held in by these two star head bolts. And again, as I say, normally if you're doing this job you probably wouldn't have to remove this, but as we've removed it, I thought I'd cover, and it could be useful for the future, or for a situation where you do need to remove it, or if you did buy both sides then you would be removing it and putting a new one in, or a replacement. Right, so what we're doing to refill these is using a little syringe and just gently putting the fluid into the pipe, and we've also done the same with the slave cylinder, and you can see there the fluid sitting in it, and hopefully that will get enough in that then when we join them together, any air that is left in will work its way out. Right, so we're now going to put the horseshoe back over this and get this fitted into the bracket. Right, so just putting a little bit of copper slip on the end there and in that little plastic cap, and what you probably noticed is we took that bracket back out so that we could get that in a little bit easier, and then we'll put it all back into together, and that just gives us a little bit of movement room. Right, so it's now back in place, and as I said, it's then just those two star head bolts to do up. Right, so we're now going to start filling this master cylinder with the fluid, and we've used a little funnel, and as you can see we've filled up the reservoir, which obviously is nowhere near enough. So what we're now going to do is try pumping the pedal just a little bit to see if it'll take some before we even start getting the air out of this system. And the way they suggest getting the air out of the system on this one is this valve here, the little centre pin, will be pushed in, and that should let the fluid out, and your pump, a bit like when you're bleeding the air out of brakes, you'll push that in and push the pedal down, and then before the pedal comes up you'll let that spring back out so you don't suck any air, and the processor goes, you've got all the air out and as much fluid in as needed. Right, so what we're doing now is trying to just fill up the fluid before we start to let the air out, and basically all I'm doing is just pushing the clutch pedal down gently like that, and then pulling the pedal back up again like that, and slowly that's letting more fluid go in through the reservoir. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, keep going. There's all bubbles coming up at the moment. That's getting into that space. No, just keep pumping it for a minute. So we know we've got some fluid in that pipe. Otherwise it'll be wasting outside.
So as you could see, I was pushing the pedal, and we put a little bit more fluid in, bubbles were coming out, and they've now stopped coming out. So now what we'll be doing is pushing the middle of that in to let the fluid out as we pump down, and then as the pedal comes back up, you'll then let that spring back out so it can't suck any air, and we'll do that process until we believe we've got any air out before we join the two, and then hope that any air that's left in the system will work its way out. What we've done is we've put a cup there, and we've got a paintbrush that's wooden handled so we don't do any damage, and hopefully as we push that down or push that down onto the paintbrush, release that valve and let the fluid out, and the combination, as I said, with us doing the pedal, a bit like when you get the air out of brakes, we'll get the air out. So I'll go back to pumping the pedal, and I'll do it in sequence with this valve. Right, so I'm now in the car, and I'm ready to start pushing on the pedal as we release that valve. It looks like it's taking quite a bit of fluid, with more or less each pump going to have to fill up the little reservoir, and we'll see how many we need to do, and that'll be probably different on every situation. You just got to judge it a bit like when you're getting the air out of a brake system. Right, I'm ready, so I'm ready. Right, I'm pushing the pedal down, and it's down to the floor. Yeah, it's down to the floor.
Right, let it up.
Right, I'm now letting the pedal up.
Down.
Right, I'm pushing the pedal down, and the valve's being pushed in so fluid can come out. Right, it's down to the floor.
Let it up.
So we now let that valve out. I'm pulling the pedal up, although it's beginning to want to come up on its own now as well. So we're going to continue that process till we get all the air out. Ready, right? You ready for me to push down?
Yeah.
I'm pushing down.
Yeah.
All the way to the floor.
Right, let it up.
Right, I'm letting it up now. It's up to the top.
Right. Go again.
Right, I'm pushing down now, yeah?
Yeah.
Down. Right. I'll let it up.
Let it up.
Right, let it up. Right, so we're just topping up the reservoir again, and hopefully you just see there the process of it coming out this end. You've seen us pedal in, and this end as we get the air out. Right, so although it's not took lots of fluid, we think we've put in as much as we can, and we've got a good chance of getting any air out. So there, we're not really seeing lots of air coming out. So we're just going to see if there's any pedal. So we've not connected the two pipes together. We're just going to see if we've got any sort of pedal without pushing any hard. So if we feel any resistance, I will just stop. Yeah, so we're getting resistance about halfway, again, level with the brake pedal. So I'm not going to push it any harder. But we are getting resistance there. Robert, do you want me to let it go? Yeah. Right, letting it go. Right, so hopefully doing that test has told us that there is fluid in the system, and hopefully there's not too much air to have got some kind of a pedal. So now what we do is connect the two together and see what's going to happen. Right, so hopefully you can see it just down there. You can see the new copper pipe coming, and then the original pipe. What we're going to do is join them together as we pull them apart, and they should just sort of plug in and clip and be together. So that's what we're going to do next. To cover that, there is this little plastic, and that's what you use to disconnect on an house. That just fell off into the cup. So what we've done is just put that back on. So that's well worth checking when you're doing it. Right, so we've now got it together, and hopefully you can see the little plastic collar's just sitting out, so that if you wanted to release it, you push that down, and that helps release it. So now we're going to see what sort of pedal we've got and see if there are any leaks and if it even works. If not, we'll have to try and get more air out, but that'll be what we've got to do next. Right, so because we're not getting any movement on the clutch slave cylinder, we're just going to try and bleed in the air out here, which is sometimes how you do it on some other systems. We're just gently loosening that. Again, pushing the pedal down and letting any air and fluid out, then retightening and letting the pedal up. And we're trying that sequence now to see if we can get a little bit more air out. And that could be obviously because air maybe in this system as well as any air that's left in the new system as well, and see if that works. Right, pushing it down, down to the floor.
Hang on then, on the floor.
Yeah.
Right, let it up.
Letting it up. So as you can see down here at the pedal end, it's a similar procedure as before. Right, so as you probably see from the last clips, we were trying to get the air out, and we was always worried about using the original slave cylinder, but we gave it a go and we tried to get the air out, but we're not convinced that there isn't something wrong with this as well. So we've had a look and found what looks like a new old stock of a slave cylinder on its own, and we decided it was worth getting and worth changing to rule out any problems with this, or certainly any problems in the future. So what we're going to do is just unclip that, make sure that that is bled properly, which I've already showed you how to do that. We're just, because we've joined to this one, check that, and then we'll fit this new one, and that will rule everything out and actually leave us feeling a bit happy, because originally we did want both halves, but the supplier of this didn't have another half, and said in most cases these are all right, which it does appear in a lot of cases they are all right, but with us we were never fully sure. So this will rule that out and give us hopefully confidence in the future, because what we don't want is it failing through something silly in a few weeks or months time. So that's what we're going to do. Right, so we've got the old one disconnected, and as you can see that collar's now loose, and as before you push it in a little bit fiddly all the way around, and it does release, and no fluid come out. So hopefully no damage has been done. There's no reason why it shouldn't be, because the couplings are as they should be, and then it'll be a case of putting the new one in. But first what we are going to do is just check that no air has got into the first system, and then we'll fit it. Right, so we're just going to put this in before we do any bleeding out of there, and you may see there's like a strap holding it into tension. We're going to leave that because we think it probably will snap when you first go to use it, but if it doesn't we can always cut it, and it's just the same as before, putting in the special little horseshoe clip.
Put that in. Down.
So yeah, that's what's also nice. This has come with a nice protective cover, and we'll keep that in the hope we ever have to disconnect these on any other car, or even this one, we could put that on to protect it. So that's useful as well. So yeah, it's all in now, ready for us to connect once we've checked we've got no air in this first system. Right, so we've got the new slave cylinder in, and we've got it connected to the midway joint, and as you can see there, we've got the reservoir nice and full of fluid. So it'll be a case of now testing to see if it's going to work a lot better than it did when we were trying to get the air out of the old system, which we know technically the book says you can't do, but as we had checked it and air had got in the system, we thought it was worth trying, but we did have our suspicions about the slave cylinder anyway, so this gives us a lot more confidence long term, hopefully, in it working well. Right, so what do you want me to do now? Push on the clutch and see what happens?
See what it feels like. Just take it down slowly.
Right, I've left that there so it'll see it move the first time, right?
See what moves the camera.
Yeah.
Right.
No, are you ready?
Yeah, ready when you are.
Push it now.
Yeah. Yeah, all the way down.
Yeah,
Let it go.
it's out.
Yeah, let it go. It's up.
It's out.
Well, it broke the thing, but it ain't come back. Push it again. That's it. It's come back that time. All right, push it again.
It feels stiffer.
Yeah, it's working all right.
Right, so hopefully you see there it move, and it did break those under tension, which we thought. So we're certainly getting better than we were the other day when we were trying it, as there is movement there, and it does appear to be moving the clutch to disengage, unengage. Obviously we'll have to test it, but that's certainly a much better sign than it was, and as we say, we're certainly happier having a new system in there. So yeah, as you can see, we'll trim those off a little bit, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Right, so we started the engine up. We've got the battery there temporary, so we can check that was all moving okay. And what we're doing is putting it into first gear and reverse, and just checking as we let the pedal up that the wheels turn, so we know that there is drive being disengaged and engaged. As you can see there, the wheels moving. And then if I bring back, just do it one more time. So yeah, you can see there that the clutch is being moved in and out, and we're getting drive and losing drive. Right, so the last thing we've done is just put a little bit of rubber piping over the copper pipe, just to make sure it could never rub on here, and we've done the same there and just tied it up so it can't move about too much. We checked it can't really rub on any of these pipes, so it looks close, it's not touching them. And then of course the original pipe has got this rubber protector here as it runs through there. So that's the last bit done. So for now we're going to consider that job done, and I'd only let you know if we had any problems once it's on the road. So really the last bit, connecting the new part in, went very, very well, and it worked more or less first time. Well, it did, as you see, a little kind of pump and then a full pump, and those broke. So again, it kind of goes to show that when something's not working right at all, you're really having problems, there's something somewhere not right, because when it's right, it does work as it should do very early on. So I think that sort of thought process stood with this as well. So it's been a long, steady process for us, learning from us breaking down because we lost drive on the clutch, to us finding out it wasn't the clutch that had failed, but it was the hydraulic system, to finding out fully how it worked, and finding the replacement kit that the Discount Rover Spares does, to fit in that, to finding out that there was very likely a problem here. The only thing is, we'll probably never fully know where the problem was, whether it was in the top half there or the bottom half, but certainly the way it's working now, there was definitely a problem. We're certainly pleased that we managed to find this new old stock slave cylinder, and we, as far as we can tell, are very pleased with the sort of adapted kit that we've bought as well. So all we've got to do now is put a little bit back under the dash, and of course the battery tray. I'm not going to cover that. We're going to consider the video done. As always, thank you very much for watching.